the recorder. Good evening. This is the Viper Thursday evening webinar. First, we have to get our standard disclaimer out of the way, so let's take care of that. All communications from Viper Trading Systems are for educational purposes only. Futures and Forex trading does involve risk, and there is a risk of loss. Nothing contained in this webinar. Other webinars, including the live trading rooms, are to be construed as investment or trading advice. And of course, everyone in here does know that you do trade at your own sole discretion. All right, so tonight's topic, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to do a couple of things here. We're going to look at just trading in general, setups, ranges, breakouts, trends, and then we'll mix in a little bit of object trader too, so we can see how to position and use that tool. Let's get over here. I've got some live data charts up. I don't know if we're going to get any trades tonight or not. Let's see if we do. All right. Here we have gold. Now I'm using a two Renko chart here because I want some movement, and I want the movement to be pronounced. And so I've got object trader here on the right, and I guess most of you are familiar with it. And let me show you a couple of different ways to use this. I was trying to catch this trade right here. Let me show you something right here right now. So right now it's outside close region. I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. Pops up a little box. This was the one I was trying to take. See this one right here? This is a perfect little object trader trade. Had a nice little, what is this, 15, 16 tick range. Positioned it outside close. You didn't really need an offset for that. And as I was watching that set up, I didn't have time to position the box because it broke out so quickly right in here. You can see here you had a beautiful long trade that ran up, I don't know, it looks like about 35 plus ticks, almost 40 ticks. So that was a long trade right there. I do want to show another thing too real quick while we're here and looking at this. Let me take this out. I'll drag this over here. Show another aspect of this using the time region, time trade. If you use the time trade portion of this, what I like is to tie it into the high energy times. You can see here there was a high energy time on gold right over here. See that little band-aid that was what happened right there? Now let me show you something when you position the box using the time time trade component of this using the region box. In here, for instance, you can see that there was, in particular, I want to point this out if you're going to use this aspect of it, which is perfect for trading band-aids. I want to show this right here because this is something that I think that I've seen a lot of traders deal with, is this whole sort of head fake issue around the band-aid. Is anybody dealing with that? Let me blow this up and be more specific when I talk about head fake area around the band-aid. I'm talking about like that right there. I'm talking about like this right here. Anybody get head faked around these band-aids? You know, you get like a little wick up and a little wick down, and they're kind of poking their head up a little bit and down a little bit around a band-aid. Anybody get trying to deal with that issue in regards to trading band-aids? This little pokey deal. I know it's frustrating. I think everybody's dealing with that. Let me show you how you deal with that using the region on a time trader. When you have the time set, I'm not certain exactly when this high energy time was. I think it was probably 10:47. Let's go look at the band-aid here. 10:55. There we go. 10:55. All right. 10:55 was this bandito right here. See it painting right in there? 10:55. So here's what you do. Here's what you do. You got a couple of ways to position this when you're dealing with a high energy band-aid and trying to avoid head fakes. If you put the region tight to the band-aid like this, In other words, you have the region right on the Band-Aid itself. So the top is positioned at the top of the Band-Aid and the bottom at the bottom, very tight and clean to it. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Hold on a second. I would strongly urge you to use the offset feature over here. This is the plus minus offset right here. Now the other way to do it, you should use this anyway. So you're looking for this to, it has to close one tick above here, or you can go 2 ticks. The other thing to do is instead of positioning it tight to the Band-Aid as the Band-Aid is painting, you want to form the region to include the wicks of the candles above it and the wicks of the candles below it. Right here. Right down here like that. And you can still have your offset of 0, 1, or 2, which means that it wouldn't get filled until it actually breaks out by 2 ticks. So you'd be filled on this bar right here, long in this case. In this case here, you would have avoided the head fake issue, because this happens a lot. You get a Band-Aid painting. You know, wicks the top, wicks the bottom, wicks the top, wicks the bottom, and then finally you get some kind of follow through. You know, it breaks up, pops up, pulls back, finds support, and then this turned into be a beautiful long trade right here after it retraced a little bit. And if you had a couple of targets here, 5, 10, 15 ticks, you would have hit all of them right here. Now, the other way you can do this that's going to help you a lot to avoid getting head faked around that also is you want to, and I'm starting to do this a lot more, the break-even trigger right here. I've been setting to like 5 or 6. Okay? And so, you know, that way if you get a pop-up and you hit your first 5-tick target and maybe go a tick or so more, then, you know, you're going to get your stop up very tight very quickly. Now, let's put that aside for a minute. Let's look at what's going on right now in gold. Let's blow this up and get a consensus from the team on what we think we want to do. Now, you can see that that we've broken up here. We've taken out the top of this range, and it's pulled back and found support at the top of the prior range. Yes, background is green, bars are blue, and it looks to me like we got support around 74.50-ish and resistance at 76.50. So what is that? About 20 ticks. Now, how would you position a region or a box in here to trade this? Would you trade inside the box on a touch? Would you trade outside the box on a breakout? And would you have longs on and shorts on and reversal on, or just 1 or 2 of these 3? Think about it for a second and look at this chart. How might we position a box here to trade it? Any ideas, thoughts? I know you're just looking at some of you this for the first time, so let me help you out. With a green background and blue bars, and we're heading up, we probably want to toggle off the shorts and reversals, right? Now, I'm going to insert a box right in here. Oh, it just broke out. Just broke out right before I had time to set it. There you go, Carl. Perfect. All right, let me show you. It's probably too late to do this. All right, it happened so quick. I was trying to show it, but it broke out. That's all right. That was perfect, though, Carl. Perfect way to look at this. So there's a couple of different ways you can look at this, right? Let's position this box as if this breakout had not occurred. So here's the box. Here's the range that we're in. So there's a couple of ways to look at these ranges, and it's really no different than how we look at trading anyway. Essentially, Getting ready to add more to it, Carl. Okay, cool. And it's really no different than, it's just simply a tool to help aid in trading what we already know how to trade. And what I mean is this. You can trade an outside close, and when you're in a range, or a very tight range, a tighter range like this right here, when you position it on an outside close, and you toggle on only the longs, then essentially it's going to take breakout trades. So you'd be long right now. Okay? Outside close, long enabled. We're only taking long trades on a breakout. That's a breakout trade when you enable it, right? The other way to do it, with longs enabled only, and you did what's called an inside touch, and say you offset by 1 or 2 ticks, then what it does, and this is probably the best feature of this whole thing, is when you pull back into support levels, like here and here, it will automatically, when it touches that support level, get long right down there. See that? That's the inside touch. Inside touch. So when you enable this box, and you draw it right here, position it right around the range, and you're long only, right? We're not taking shorts. We're in an uptrend. We're not taking reversals. We're simply looking for long trades. So outside close takes the breakout trade. You'd be long right now. If you position this box just like this with outside close, you'd be long, and you possibly would have hit your first target already. Everybody see that? If you do the reverse of it, inside touch, then essentially what you're telling object trader in this region to do is when you touch support levels with long enabled only, you're buying and getting long down here. Everybody see that? So what I'm showing you is that everything, all the logic that you apply and the analysis you do on your trades is the same. The only advantage is that, of course, when you position these boxes, these regions, it automates. You don't have to manage the trades. It puts the stops in, manages the trail stops, puts the targets in, manages the trade for you. You don't have to worry about pulling the trigger down here because it'll automatically do it for you. All right. Now let me ask this question, okay? Let's take all this off and go back and ask another question. Then we'll pull another chart up here. In fact, let's do this. Let's tuck this gold one aside. Let's let it move around a little bit. I'm not going to activate that box. I'm just going to let it sit over here and stew a little bit. Let me see if I can do that. I'm just going to tuck that puppy in the corner here. And I'm going to pull down a crude chart, and let's see what crude oil's up to. Alrighty. Let's see if we can work as a team to find something. That's the tough thing. About trying to find these live trades and with real data after hours is that sometimes they're just not moving. So I'm trying to find something that's moving. That's why I'm using the 2 Renko. I know we use the 4 range charts in the room, and that's what we teach primarily. So the 2 Renko I'm simply putting up here because it's going to give enough movement where we might actually get a couple of trades. All right, so here's crude oil right now. It's hovering around this 98.15. What do you think? We got a trade here? What do you think? We got a trade here? This market heading up, down, sideways? Thoughts on crude oil right now? What do you think? What do you think we want to be doing here? We want to box something in? You want to draw a retracement line? You know what? Just for the heck of it, while you're looking at that, I'm going to go ahead. Let me see if I can turn this on here. I'm going to do an outside close again with this box. Outside close. Let's see if we can get it to take a trade here while we're looking at the crude oil chart. All right, here we go. First time into the mid-band. Okay, good. Now, let me ask you this. Maybe a different way to approach this, since some of you are just really kind of looking at this for the first time. Let me lob some ideas out here and tell me what you think. How about if we took an outside close region, long enabled, short enabled, reverse enabled, all three of these are on. What if we were to draw a box that might look something like this? Let's make it real tight. How about something like that? Outside close, and let's enable it. Let's see if we can take a trade here. Now, I want you to weigh in on your thoughts on this, because essentially with this tight of a box, with a 0 tick offset, the way this would work is you get a close above here, it's going to take the long, and you get a close below here, it's going to take the short. Let's get a consensus from the team. What do we think? Does that look like a solid plan, or should we adjust it? Tight little range. We're looking for a breakout. Long or short? What do you think? Good idea, yes or no? Carl says, crude oil tonight is a tougher call. Could be a trend change in the making. John L says, I like the setup. Leave the box. Anybody else? What do you think? Is that box too tight? How about this? Should we really be taking shorts here? Or only toggle on the long? Should we only be looking for this type of trade? Or do we see that the trade might come back down into here? What do you think, team? You guys awake? Hello? Anybody out there? Have some coffee. Wake up. Take a little espresso. Take a snort of something that's going to wake you up. You guys are asleep tonight. I'm trying to be interactive here. All right. Doug says only longs. Carl says seems to be the only reasonable option. All right. So it seems like the 9805 area. Well, now, what you're describing there, Doug, what he just typed in there, here's what he's suggesting. He's suggesting enlarging the box. And by the way, this is a feature that's coming soon that we are going to add to this that you can't do currently, but you will in the next version of this. And it's pretty cool because there's several features that are going to be added to this that you're going to like a lot. But one of them is going to be the ability. See, the way this works right now is that once you set that box and it's enabled, you have to disable it to move it around. So let me do an example here. Let's disable it. It goes to light green. Let's suppose you want to pull it down a little bit, maybe something like that. Then you re-enable it like that. Because what Doug is saying is that what Doug has said is that he wants to, instead of shorting here, when he comes down into here, he wants to be buying it. Now, for that scenario, of course, you would do the inside touch, and you do some type of one or two tick offset. In that scenario, what would happen is it would get long down in here, particularly if you only had longs enabled only. Wait. Let's turn it back on. Outside close. Ah, Smack-a-bony! Smack-a-bony! Breaking his fingers. When I changed it, it broke out. Okay, let's try to adjust it. We're trying to get a trade here. Showing too much, and it wound up missing a little breakout there. Everybody see the difference between that? That's one of the things I really wanted to sort of drive home tonight, is the difference between the inside touch and the outside close. Does everybody see the difference in that and how that comes into play when you're looking at ranges, particularly when there is a trend direction up or down? Essentially what this will do is it will take the retracement rate trades for you on your behalf when it touches into these support areas. Like this. Let me suggest something else. Let me float this idea out to you, and I've been looking at this a lot, and I want to see what you think about it. Let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to suggest a couple other ideas for you here. Let's take that region off. Let's do another region. What if you did a region that looks something like this? All right. What if you broaden your horizons outside of that little area and you did something more like this? We'll take a vote from the team and see what you think about it. We'll box this whole region in, and we're going to do an inside touch offset by 2 ticks, and we'll leave long and short enabled, so you're shorting up here and you're buying down here. Good idea? Yes or no? Here, I'll activate it while you're thinking about it. Is that a tradable range? Yes or no? Inside touch, shorting the top. So in this scenario that we've set up here, you're selling up here on a touch, and you're buying down in here. We got a tradable range here. What do you think? Yes or no? What's the criteria for tradable range? Remember? What's our criteria? And does this meet it? All right, we're getting some feedback here. Chris says yes. Doug has an interesting, he says, just call your broker and tell them you really didn't mean to take that trade, kind of like the banks do, and just have them void it. Doug, that's pretty good. If I get into a bad trade tomorrow, I'll just call them up and tell them to wipe that one off the trade sheet. All right, so back to the question here. The inside touch box, support here, so we're buying here on a touch, and we're shorting up here. What's the team say here? Chris says yes. Doug's saying no shorts. He only wants to buy. Chris says the range looks acceptable because it's around 25 ticks. 25 ticks-ish, says Doug. Yeah, so let's do some quick math. Is this a tradable range, was the question. Here we have support more or less around this 98.10 plus or minus area. Okay, and we've got resistance up around here, 32, 30.29. Yeah, it's kind of the lower end, isn't it? Yeah, it's lower end. You're probably at 19, 20, 22 ticks, right? It's sort of the lower end of tradability. So the feedback was yes, it's a tradable range, and most of you have said that you would not be taking the short, so you would disable that part of it. I'll reinsert this range real quick here. In fact, maybe we can just leave this on and see if it'll short up here. And what I like to do when drawing positioning the box, by the way, this is a really good thing to do, and I'll show you how I like to do it. It works pretty well. You see how you have some candle tops that come sort of close? In other words, these wicks, and you know this if you trade ranges, are not always perfectly hitting an exact area, right? And that's why you have this little offset here. See how the wicks are kind of on and off, So what I like to do is I kind of split the difference. So I don't put it right on one of the wicks or right on the highest wick or any of that. I just simply kind of split the difference. So same thing down here. See that? By the way, over here on gold, you can see that we never got a close above the box. We were trading outside close to get long on a breakout. Remember? With a 0 tick offset. Now you can see on these candles right here, we just touched the top of the box, the region, and it never closed, so we never got long. See that? No trade. No trade. And if you're concerned about a head fake, simply put a tick or two on an offset, meaning that it has to close above and then go another tick or two, whatever you set that to. We'll come back and adjust that in a minute. But anyway, back over here. So when you're positioning it, you want to kind of split the difference between the lower wicks and the top wicks and kind of go in the middle. And then I like a 1 or a 2 tick offset, which means that when we come into the area around the top of the box, like here, within 2 ticks of this and within 2 ticks of there, we get filled long or short. And then you simply hit enter and it activates it. All right. So while we're waiting for that to move, actually, I'll tell you what we're going to do on this one. I'm going to deactivate this, reinsert it, just to try to get a trade out of this thing because this is just not moving at all. I'm going to go ahead and use this smaller box. I'm going to use a smaller box. Oops, don't like that. I'm going to box this little area in, see if we can get some kind of trade. I'll leave it long and short. I'll take the offset down to 0. We'll do an outside close. We'll insert the region, and we'll put it right real tight like that. I mean, we're like in a 6 ticks range here. There. Now that is going to, you know, if and when we break out of here, it will take a trade. This could be like a Band-Aid. This could be like a Band-Aid trade, basically. Inside that band there, more or less. All right, by the way, anybody looking at charts, anything moving tonight? Anything else moving tonight? Pull up your charts. Take a look around a little bit. Tell me if you see anything moving. I'm going to go ahead and let's try to get another box over here on gold so we can just see it do something. Okay. There's our box. I'm going to try to position it right around here. Let's do an outside close. Let's not have an offset. Now this is going to take shorts if it breaks out, right? I'm going to enable the short. I know most of you are saying don't do that. I know if this was real money, we wouldn't be doing that, right? This is after hours, live data, sim dollars. So it's okay. Anything else moving? You know, the Aussie sometimes moves after hours. 6A, 6S, 6J, yen futures. Let's find another chart, see if we can get something moving here. See if we can get some kind of trade on here tonight. Crude is just really slow. Had a tight range day on crude today. Did you see that? Very, very tight range on crude. Really pinching in, which is unusual. Most days after inventory day on Thursdays, inventories on Wednesdays, you get some movement. I was expecting a lot of movement out of crude, but it didn't really happen too much today. Now here's 6A. This is the Aussie futures. This is the coming into the Asian session timing of the market right now. What do we think about this one? We got some trades here. We got a set up a region. What do you think? Would you be trading longs and shorts in this market? Longs only? Reversal? That's some of the first decisions we have to make when we're assessing a market, of course, is do we toggle any of these on and off, long or short? We have to assess the market direction. And then we have to assess, do we really want to draw a region or some other kind of object? What do we think about 6A here? I mean, you've got support down here, and you've got resistance up here. I guess the question is, do you want to be trading inside of this range or a breakout of the range? And you want to be taking longs or shorts as you assess a market like this? What do you think? Anybody awake out there? Hello? Anybody up? Anybody? I have to buy everybody a little shot of espresso and some coffee. Chris says shorts only. Doug says sell the 45 area. All right. So I'm hearing some shorties here. So, all right. So what we're going to do then, when we look at this using this tool, we turn the longs off, turn the reverses off. So we're only looking for shorts because we're in a more or less kind of a downtrend here, yes? Market came down, double bottom, came up to the mid-band, pulled back, couldn't quite take out the bottom. How about if we draw a region that looks maybe something like this? We insert the box, we position the box like this. We turn only shorts on, and we do an inside touch with a 2-tick offset. Now, with this setup like that, what this will do, with shorts only enabled in this region, this area right here, if and when this market was to come up within 2 ticks of this area right here, it will take the short for you automatically. Just set it and forget it. That's what I love about this tool. You just set it and forget it. You do your analysis. You decide, do I want long, shorts only, reversals? You toggle on what you want. If maybe you want to try trade inside the range. If it's a big, juicy range and you want to trade both sides, you toggle both on, right? If the market is heading down, you only trade the shorts, just like Doug said. He wanted to short 45, which is actually, he wants to short a little higher. He wants to short up in here. Now, if you wanted to do that, Doug, you'd simply make this region, this box, a little bigger and come up into this area. I'm going to do a 2-tick offset with the sell right up in here around 40. Now, you have to make sure also that you decide how many contracts you want, what your initial stop is going to be, and your break-even trigger. Now, let me show you how to figure that out. In this area right here, you can see that let me get my tool up here. Stand by real quick. So let's use just some round numbers, okay? Round numbers. We're looking to short up in here around 40 at the top of the region. We only have shorts enabled. Inside touch, 2-tick offset. We're shorting 40. Now, where is support? Down here around 15. So you have to decide a couple of things. First of all, how many contracts you're going to put on and how far out should the targets be. Now, the distance between here and here is approximately 25 ticks. The way this is set up is that you're taking 5, 10, 15, 3 contracts with those targets. Man, you got a tight range on gold. Unbelievable. You know, before I open the room, it runs 40 ticks, and then we spend 36 minutes chopping in a little 8-tick range. Unbelievable. Anyway, all right. So what we're saying is this. Visualize it this way. When as you look at these ranges, this is going to come into play, and this is how we look at it, okay? You say to yourself, if and when I was to get short off of here, well, where do I want to peel my profits? First of all, I want a 5-tick first target. And you know what? Maybe you say to yourself, I don't want 3 contracts. I only want 2. So I'm going to only put 2 on. And I have 25 ticks to all the way down here. So I'm going to give a little more than 10. I'm going to go ahead and put that second one at 15. Now, where do we want our initial stop to go? Right now it's positioned at 12. Let's do some quick math. 12 would put it up here at 52. If you get filled at 40, roughly, plus or minus, right? 12 would put you up here. That's a pretty good stop because you can see here when you look to the left, you've got a couple of swings. You've got a band up here. So that would be a nice, safe initial stop up here at 12. Now, the question is this. The break-even trigger, as you're looking at this area and sort of making some decisions on how you want to trade it, you have to say to yourself, after it moves a certain amount of ticks, in this case it's 12, I want to take that initial stop down to break even. As I said earlier, if you came in late, you might have missed it. It's okay. I've been going with a 5 or 6 tick trigger. So in other words, the way this is set up right now, if and when we were to get a short, and who knows if we will before we close the room, that it would trigger up in here, come up and touch and roll over it. We get short. It would put an initial stop 12 ticks up, which would be up here, around 52-ish, depending on where you get filled. It'll put targets in here. Gold just got short. Gold just got short. Let me come over and show that. We actually got a trade. Woohoo! You didn't have to go the whole night without a trade. So that's good news. All right, here, let's see what happened over here. All right. We got short on gold right here. It closed below that range. Got filled at 75.20. It's not surprising because you got a 2-tick slip in here, right? You got a 2-tick slip. You've got 2 targets in here. You got a 5 and a 10-tick target. And your initial stop is sitting 12 ticks up right here. See it? You can move these on the fly. That's what I like about this because normally when you run strategies on ninja charts, which is kind of just the way it is, it's a little bit of a pain. You have to have, in order to move see where your targets and stops are, you have to run another chart, right? See them? All right. Here we're coming down. Here's the first target. Here's target number 2. I'm going to move it. I'm going to adjust these on the fly. I'm going to move this up a little bit because it just came down and touched that area. And I'm going to move. Can you see there's a little swing right here to the left? I'm going to pull this one up on the fly up into here. So I'm going to adjust the targets. And that's what I like about this program. Yeah, Chris, if you use a 2-tick offset, you got to be careful about that too, because if you use a 2-tick offset on a close, and you have some slippage, it's going to add to your slippage. Most times you have a 1-tick spread. Sometimes you have a 2 or 3-tick spread, so you have to be careful and factor that in. Okay, you have to factor that into your fills. All right, we're coming back. We're checking the bottom of the range here. Let's see, do we have any other trades on right now? I don't think so. We got this one set up to take a rollover up in this area right here. So it's not quite come into our little cone of influence just yet. See what's going on with crude. Crude is just really stuck in a tight range. 98.10 to 98.15, 16, 5, 6, 6. I don't think that thing's moved a tick in like 20 minutes. Unbelievable. Oh well, just watch it. See what happens. All right, you can see here we did not trigger the break-even offset because right now it's set to 6. So in other words, the way that works, the way that break-even offset works, is that it has to go 6 ticks to move it. Let's do some quick math. So you got filled right here, you're filled, and it shows you right here. 75.20 short. So your stop is up here, and I moved it. 76.40. That's 12 ticks up on the stop, right? We had a 5 and a 10 tick, and we moved it. And right now it is sitting right about there. Oh, back to the break-even trigger. Yeah, so you went down. It went from 75.20 to 74.90, so that's only 3 ticks. So it needed to move more. In fact, it would have had to have hit, the initial target was 5. It would have had to hit 5 targets. I mean the 5-tick target plus a tick to move it. So we'll just let this sit here just like it is for now. Let's come back over here. We have anything going on here? By the way, anybody scanning other markets? Any other things moving? 6J moving around. Anybody? Anybody trading tonight? Sometimes the currencies move in this Asian session. Sometimes they don't. Let me scan a couple other charts. I'm looking at NASDAQ here. NASDAQ's actually trying to break out. Let's pull up a NASI chart. Let's take this. Which one do you want to take down? You want to take crude down or 6A? What do you think? Let's take 6A down. Let's take this box. You got to remember when you switch off, you got to take this off. Okay, so you got to disable it. And let's go over to NASDAQ. See if we get some kind of movement here. I'm looking at another chart on another screen. We'll see what we think about the old NASI chart here. All right. Loading up the NASI chart. Let's see if anything else is moving. YM? No, YM's in a range. How about the Roosty Bird? Loading the chart. Be patient. Give it a minute. Let's hope we don't lock up. All right. $6A. Okay, Carl. Yeah, I changed that to a NASI chart. Now, what do you think? Looking at NASI, what do we think we want to do? Longs only? Shorts only? Do we want to trade inside this range? You want to box this in and take longs and shorts? Do you want to take a breakout up here? Do you want to buy retracements? What do you think? Feedback from the team. What do we want to do with old Nazaroo? Chris says longs only. Anybody else? You want to box this region in and trade both sides of it? Right here? You want to take a breakout to the upside? Got to decide. We're coming up here. Long only. Box it in and use 3 ticks. All right. Tell you what, let's see if we get a breakout while we're in here. I'll tell you, before we do this, let me show you how another way to use this tool that I like to do when a market's trending like this. Let's go ahead and put the channel up here. And let's do an inside touch. And we're going to position the channel like such. It draws the line at the current price. Now what I like to do on this is I'm going to draw it right underneath where the market is trending. Right here like this. You see how it's trending like this to the upside? And we're going to do a little channel offset. We're only going to do longs on pullbacks. So we're going to turn off the shorts and the reversals. We have an inside touch. And we're going to do an offset by 2. And we're going to enable it. Now, the way this works, and I really like this tool, is every time the market pulls back into this area right here and touches it, you can go a little bit more. You can go 3 or 4 ticks. Each one of these pullbacks would be a long trade right here. That one. This one. And this one. And it's hard to say whether that would have gotten long because you were probably already long from here. Each one of these touches, inside touch, 3 tick offset, each time you come down and check this channel trend line, you're getting long. So what we're looking for now would be a retracement back into here. If you want to ensure you get in a little bit better, go with a 4 tick offset. And if it was to touch inside of this area right here, it would take you long and place your targets and stops right off automatically off that line. That's pretty cool, huh? All right, what's happening with our friend Mr. Gold? It's not surprising we're getting a pullback into the box. Most of you back to gold, and I have to give you credit for this when we were assessing gold, said to only take longs. Remember? Only take longs. So in this case here, instead of boxing this in and enabling the short, the more prudent thing to do would have been to draw the box or a trend line, inside touch, and long only. Right? Long only. We can see here that getting short was probably not the greatest of ideas in an uptrend, was it? And by the way, most of you said that. If I go back through the text, I think almost everybody said longs only. Longs only. This is a good example of how shorting, this has been a counter trend short, basically, that's why it's down and losing a little bit of money. All right, crude is dead. Let's go look for something else. We got a few more minutes. Let's see if we can get a trade here. I'm going to disable crude. You're dead to me. Let's go take a look at the yen, 6J. We need something that is moving. Please give us some movement, Mr. Market. We need some trades today, please. All right, we're trying to load 6J. Yen futures. Let's see if there's a traderino sitting up here. It's taking a while for this data to load here, isn't it? 6J, you are a hot mess. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry. I'm going to wake up here. Getting late. Got to have a sip of mojo. I don't see anything there. That looks like choppy soup. By the way, you did have a Band-Aid that would have been nice to trade earlier. This is what I was saying earlier. Let me just show it real quick on this particular instrument because it's very similar to what I showed earlier. There's a little bandito that painted right in here. 1032. 1032 Band-Aid painted right in here. So here again, what you wanted to do is one of two things, and I'm addressing this whole head fake wick issue, like you got here and like you got here. And I'm going to do a hypothetical box. We're going to insert it. We're going to position it over here. If you draw it tight to the Band-Aid itself, not accounting for the wicks, then we have to do the we need to do the offset, and I'd say at least a minimum of 2 ticks right here. And then it would look to close outside of that. The other way to do it, of course, is to draw the box a little wider to account for the extra wicks and then have a 0 offset. In which case, when you got this closed right here, you would have gotten long, and it turned out to be a very nice trade on that bandito. How about right now? What would you do right now? You're back almost right to where that Band-Aid was. Longs only, shorts only, where would you position the box? Here's the box right here. Background is a little bit red. You got support down in here. Thoughts? Shorts only? Good. I'll help you out. That's a no-fly zone. It's a tight range. You're right, Carl. Carl's the only one awake tonight. Good for you. Get the gold stars. You get the gold stars. How about this? Let me ask you this. Should you put the bottom of the box here? A or B? B is down here. And you're looking for a breakout short. I mean, there's really 2 ways to position this box, right? Outside close means you're looking for a breakdown short, like that. Inside touch, short only, it would be shorting retraces back up to resistance, like here. And you would have shorted right here. Right up in here. Inside touch, 2-tick offset, shorting the top of the box only, shorts. Or outside close. Well, I don't know. It looks to me like, Chris, the background has changed to red. You've taken out a support level here. I don't draw a trend line. I think uptrend line's been broken. You know, you can make the case that that broke the trend line. You're oscillating. This is a no-fly zone. Who said that? Carl, you're right. When your yellow bars in a band above and a band below, this would be a no-fly zone. So yeah, you want to go outside close. And if you believe the uptrend is going to continue, then by all means enable the longs and the shorts. Good. I think you guys and gals are getting the hang of it. The only thing we had so far was this silly gold trade. Let's come over and take our look at our friend Mr. Nazaru. Uh-oh, Nazi breaking out. Coming up to the swing area. Now I'm going to disable this, and I'm going to put a region in here, just for the heck of it. I'm going to insert a region box. Take that off and put this on. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. Why don't we do this? Let's position it right here like this. Let's take that off. Take that off. Insert the box. Let's draw it like that. And let's take an outside close with a 0-tick offset for a long only. All right, coming up here close to 6 o'clock, I'm getting ready to wrap. Any final questions on what we showed here tonight? I really have to apologize. I thought we'd have a little bit more movement. We'll try to do this a little bit differently next time, try to get some trades in here. It was really tough to try to showcase this thing taking trades when you're sitting kind of looking at flat markets. So my apologies. I'm going to stop the recorder, get ready to wrap.